been around in the industry for a long time. Wait for my next guest, who has a legacy dating back to 1982. His name is synonymous with brand empire building. And he's built not one, but two of the most successful, feared agency brands in prime central London. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my absolute pleasure to introduce an icon who's inspired countless leaders in the industry, myself included. I give you the former MD of Foxtons and CEO of Marsh & Parsons, former CEO of Marsh & Parsons, Mr. Peter Rawlings.
Thank you very much. Wow, what an entrance, what an accolade. Thank you very much. I am delighted and proud and honoured to be here today, speaking to you all as a guest of Property Finder. It's a place I haven't been to since, believe it or not, 1989. In the depths of that recession, the 89 to 92 recession, I came here with Foxtons been in the business with Foxtons for 4 years, and I was selling London real estate. It was a really amazing place then. Now, someone has been extremely busy, and it's an unrecognizable place and a very exciting place. Even though I've been here 24 hours, I can see what an extraordinary place it is. I've been through 2 or 3 markets in London of that excitement, and it's a make the best of it is all I can say. So, building the Foxtons brand. I started at Foxtons in 1985, and throughout the next 20 years, we developed a number of, certainly not originally, a number of very simple strategies. This is a simple business, easy to do, difficult to do well, and it enabled us to transform the business, turbocharge the business. They're not difficult. You won't be surprised by them, I don't think. The most extraordinary thing from day one was most of our competitors, even though they saw us literally flying, didn't follow suit. Why? I'm not quite sure, but thank God they didn't. So the brand, I think, starts with this. It's about consistency, a very strong corporate identity. Basically, we worked harder than anybody else. And in working harder, we were able to really focus on getting the very best amount of money for our clients' properties. And let me tell you, if you sit at a dinner party and you say about your estate agent, he was very nice, or you say, wow, I'm not sure I like them much, but my God, they went and really, really focused on getting me the most amount of money. Now, if you combine that with charming, great people, which we did, then you got a winner. External marketing. I think it's slightly different here, but we really focused on sellers and landlords. Really, we didn't care, in inverted commas, about buyers and tenants, because if we had the stock, then they'd follow. Now, I'm not sure it's the same here, but all our marketing, bar none, was really focused on sellers and landlords. Customer service, as I said, we worked harder than anybody else, much harder. When I started, we were 9 till 9, 7 days a week. And the whole business was 9 till 5, 5 days a week. No one worked on Saturdays. Internal marketing, I can admit it, it was almost a cult. I was running it, and I really wanted people to believe there was nowhere else. All the other agents were rubbish. And so we made them really proud of who they were working for. And obviously, I lost people. I lost a few people. But generally, there was clear blue water between us and the competition. This is when I started. I'd been working for a very blue-blooded estate agent called Lane Fox. I was the only person in the department who hadn't been to Eton. It was that posh, 9 till 5, 5 days a week, and I left in 1985 and joined Foxtons. It was the first time we did 0%. Now, 0% is what it says on the tin. We literally offered to sell properties for nothing. It was a very aggressive strategy. Obviously, it was a very expensive strategy. We paid the negotiators as though we were charging a fee. I don't know what's going on there. Anyway, we at the time had 2 offices. We generated 380 instructions in 3 months. We went from the 45th agent in Fulham to number 1. And most of those instructions converted to our standard fee of 2.5%. We produced a magazine. We did enormous amounts of advertising. We punched incredibly above our weight. Everyone thought we were huge, and we were 2 offices. I got people coming into the Fulham office saying, "So you're nationwide then?" And we were 2 offices. One of our favourite sayings was, and I think it was said by Emerson Fittipaldi, who, for those of you who don't know, was a Formula One racing driver, is lead, follow, or get out of the way. And we were really, really out in front leading. The 0% campaign, as I said, was incredibly valuable for us, and we did it in every time we opened an office. Hugely expensive, hugely expensive. We were paying hundreds of thousands of pounds. Actually, we were very successful. Sadly, I suppose, we were very successful, but we generated immense market in the area. So in almost all cases, we were number 1 agent in 3 months. The art of management is repetition. I was incredibly hands-on. My view is, if you're running a business, you have to be present, and almost 24/7. So my day would start in an office at 8 o'clock in the morning. Every day of my life, I was in an office at 8 o'clock in the morning, listening to their sales meeting. I would hear and listen and see what the employees, team members, if you like, these days, what they'd been up to. And they were proud to tell me, and it was amazingly important, 1, to be seen, and 2, to be adding energy and vitality into the market. That, for your business owners, I think is a huge part of your job. And I'm sad to say that I've seen many business owners, they reach a stage and then they sort of step back and they think it'll survive and thrive without them. In my experience, it does not. It really doesn't. And I was incredibly focused all the way along to be on a one track of building my business. I didn't let anything get in the way. I didn't do property development. I didn't do anything like that. I was 100% focused on building the business. So everything had to be on point. Consistency is absolutely everything. So I used to visit offices. There was a window card out. I'd go mad. And as a result, when I was going to see an office, they made sure that the office was absolutely on point. There was nothing wrong with it. I used to have a board run. We put sailboards up in London. A board run every week, and I sat in a car for 2.5 hours making sure that the boards were straight and there. It sounds ridiculous. I know it sounds ridiculous, and it sounds too intense. But I firmly believe in a business you have to be intense, incredibly intense, and it must come from the boss. If the boss isn't intense and is a bit laissez-faire and lets things happen and lets things slide, then really the business just gradually slides away and starts to not be successful. Consistency came throughout, from the website, the type of people we employed. We moved here to the Chiswick Park office in the late 90s. And this was really planning ahead. We moved from a 6,000 square foot head office to a 40,000 square foot head office. And we were planning ahead, much like Dubai. We were planning for massive growth. And we were rolling around in that office for years. But we established what we called the client services department, which was incredibly successful. It was taking the follow-up away from the negotiators and salespeople in the front. So we really focused a group of people, and at one time I had 120 people whose sole job was contacting people that had contacted Foxtons over the last several years, keeping in touch with them day by day, week by week. I used to joke, once you've registered your interest with Foxtons, there is no escape. And really, these people were paid, obviously, on results, and it was an amazing training ground because they learned to love and nurture the idea of the telephone, and then they'd move out into the front end and generally be very successful. The Foxtons Minis were synonymous with London. They're still synonymous with London. sadly, when I actually got back to Foxtons, I'm now sitting back on the board as a non-exec at Foxtons, and I got back 2.5 years ago to find a business that had suffered massively from inept management. And one of the things they did was they replaced the Minis for cheaper cars, yellow Kia Picantos. And they had, and I don't know if anyone's a car bore, which I am, the thought of, as a salesperson driving around in a yellow Kia Picanto would fill me with complete horror. So anyway, I'm really pleased to say we changed. It's a lesson to us all about business that once the management is inept, you have to get rid of them quickly. Rather like your people, you have to get rid of them quickly. And it had become a fat, lazy, useless PLC. And thank God we have got it back on board. I had the great pleasure of taking over as an interim CEO the summer before last for 3 months, and I have been retired since 2016. So getting back on the saddle was immensely exciting. Whether I could have done it for any more than 3 months, I'm not quite sure. But we found a new chief exec, and he is brought back the culture. The culture of a business is so important, and the culture had disappeared. This is our brand personality. This was written in the 1990s, and you can see, I think you can get a flavor of the sort of business we were. We weren't there to come second. Yeah, winning was extremely important to us. So determined, results-driven, aggressive. I probably couldn't use that word these days. It's more assertive, probably, is a bit kinder. Innovative, competitive, proactive, confident. All that had disappeared. All that. We weren't innovative. This was 2.5 years ago. So nothing had happened that was innovative and new, and we were famous for it for 5 or 6 years. And as a result, guess what happened? The figures had just drifted away and drifted down. There was a load. I could probably write a book on how not to run a sales business as of 2.5 years ago. But you'll be delighted to know that it has transformed already. You get the right structure, the right people, the right attitude, the right culture back into the business. Takes a while. It's a bit like a supertanker turning around, but it is right back on form. So it works. And again, and consistency is completely it. Right. I can confidently say this is the best thing I've ever done in my whole life. I introduced it when I took over as managing director in 1997, and it looks incredibly simple, and it was unbelievably hard to introduce into the business. In the business, basically, you arrived, you sat at your desk, and you made some phone calls, and you did some appointments, and go away and sell houses. Now, my rather cruel view is salesmen are generally a pretty lazy bunch. They will do exactly what they want at times they want to do and probably not achieve very much. So we changed this and set up meeting at 8:30, a view check 9 to 9:30. We checked what we'd shown the day before, and people called up saying, "What did you think?" Yeah, because they might say when they left the property, "I hated it," but they go on to 3 or 4 more and they say, "Oh, that was quite nice actually." So view check. Call out, 9:30 to 12, the whole team, bar none, in the office making outgoing phone calls, lots of noise, lots of excitement, lots of competition. 12 till 2, go and show some properties. 2 till 4, back in, either call out or check with clients or do file chasing stuff, all in the office doing the same thing. And 4 o'clock till 8 o'clock, because that's what we went when we closed, was out viewings. So it was a full-on day, and you have to be completely rigorous about enforcing that. You let some people go and do their own thing, and guess what? Well, why is he doing it? Well, because he's more important than you. Really? No. It has to be rigorous. These are our offices, and I know, again, I don't think you have offices like this in Dubai. We changed our offices, and this is called a cafe-style office, and our view was that people coming into estate agents' offices were intimidated. They're not nice places to come into. You walk in and people look at you and try to ignore you, and it sort of doesn't work really. And so we changed it dramatically. We changed it to the cafe-style offices. People come in and feel comfortable, get a drink. So they were nice places to be. Again, as I said, I don't think you have this this sort of office here, but maybe you could. If we didn't have an office in an area, we wouldn't get the local business. Again, that might be different here, but it's a thought. Brand manners. I was intent on how our people dressed and presented themselves. I would send people home for coming in unshaven. Obviously, beard's fine, but I would send people home for coming in unshaven with dirty shoes. If you hadn't put your makeup on, or you hadn't washed your hair, I'd send you home. Now, I wouldn't have to do it very often, but you make the point, and you don't put up with things turning up like that. I'm sure that's for those of you who don't know, that's a TV series. So brand manners are incredibly important. I think if you dress properly, and I would have worn a tie today, but I was told no one will be wearing ties, so I can see some are. I brought back ties at Foxtons 2.5 years ago, because I think you have to dress, especially in London and especially here, you have to dress to appeal to the type of people you are dealing with. And if you look scruffy and look down market, then again, you're not caring about yourself or the business, and care is a big one. So, did it work? These are the Foxtons numbers from when we started, and I think the main thing to look at here is building a business is really tough, really tough. You can see, if I can see there, we hardly did anything for 2 or 3 years. So we were disruptors, but were we successful? No, we weren't. We were creating a business. And then it was really, really, really slow. My God, we struggled at this. I saw a great quote today that said, people will be jealous of what you got, but not jealous of how you got there. And I think it's a sort of truism in life. Everyone thinks that Foxtons was successful from day one. It absolutely wasn't. Now, this is 1997, which is coincidentally when I took over. I'm sort of joking, but only just, because what it did was, certainly we introduced the time management, but what it did was enable John Hunt, who is a genius and the founder of Foxtons and an amazing man, and now a billionaire, to work on the business rather than in the business. So my role was to get out there and shake it up and add energy and get more people in and open more offices. Actually, between here and about 2000, shame we haven't got the, anyway, I did have dates on here. Here and about here, we had the same number of offices. So that time management thing basically turbocharged the productivity of our people, forced them to be successful. But I think, again, what you can see is when you start to get real momentum, it's a self-fulfilling prophecy. It just takes off. What did I do next? Yeah. I left Foxtons in late 2004. When Foxtons was sold in 2007, it was sold for £371 million. You might think I was a fool to leave so early. The problem was John owned 100% of the equity. So I decided to buy a business. So I bought this business in June 2005, and this is what it was. It was a very well-respected business based in Kensington, Chelsea. It was, in my view, irrelevant, underperforming, low volume, but it had brilliant offices. So I set about changing it. And that's the branding, obviously, that I changed. And I changed it to this, which potentially you can see. It looks black, probably, to you. The corporate colors I changed to chocolate brown. If you can think, all agents are green, red, or blue. Well, there's a few not, but pretty much they're green, red, or blue. So again, you have to stand out. You have to make something that people notice you. And all our offices were painted chocolate brown. We did lots of corporate gifts of chocolates, believe it or not. And we really, really raised the persona of the business very quickly. It was well respected and liked, but unprofitable. And pretty useless. They had people there who just sort of wanted to fill the hours between 9 and 5. I changed a lot of the staff very quickly because, again, even changing the opening hours probably made 50% of them resign. It's important to own a proposition in a crowded marketplace. So this is what we wanted to own. Understanding the areas we worked in, how to sell and let property, how to get the best price. If people understand what you're trying to get at, It'll differentiate you. One of my favorite expressions is stand out from the crowd. Our market, your market, is incredibly busy and incredibly noisy. You have unbelievable amounts of competitors. So if you can find a point of difference, then you've got to do it. And our point of difference was this: local know-how, better results. And we banged on about this for Britain. We marketed everywhere. We really made out and made it plain to our potential customers that this is what we were about. Local know-how. We really know about your area. We're your local agents. Yeah, you don't want to go to any of the other guys because they're not local, and we get better results. And again, I took a lot of the stuff that I got from Foxtons and fine-tuned it. I left a lot of the stuff. It had got quite aggressive and potentially quite nasty, too nasty in my view. And I left a lot of that and used the good bits to build Marsh & Parsons. So this is what I monitored every day. As I said, I was in offices every day of my life, and at that meeting, all the salespeople, lettings and sales, would go through these numbers for the previous week. How many outgoing calls they'd made. This is probably going to sound really onerous to you, and you're going to say, I couldn't get my guys to do that. Well, as I said, you can only monitor what you measure, and that is proper measurement. That is insisting people are successful. I insist our staff are successful, and if they do this, they will be successful. As night follows day, if they're talented, they will be successful, and the ones that follow it religiously will be even more successful. How many appointments booked, how many appointments done? So if you book lots of appointments and actually they all cancel, you know there's a problem. You know they're not booking them properly. They're probably showing them the wrong thing. So you know very quickly, within a week, there's a problem, rather than a month or 2 months. You think, well, what's going on? Or he's doing lots of appointments, but no one's turning up, or everyone's cancelling, or whatever it is. So you can really tell very, very quickly. So it helps you run the business to know in the shortest possible timescale what the problem is and what you can do about it. I don't know if you know this phrase, price to price or requirement to requirement. If you don't, write it down. Most agents show price to price. They will register a buyer at, let's say out here, let's say £1 million, yeah? And they will show them something at 1.1, 1.2 and 995. That's what they'll do. But the requirement, you know as the agent what they're looking for, and it's 1.5 million, but you don't show it to them because you're not brave enough. So you have to be very brave, and you have to show requirement to requirement. So you show 1.2, 1.1, and 1.5. And you know very quickly then if the buyer is going to find more money, and everyone finds more money. But the most agents don't show at that level. So they have to show. Most agents will show price to price, and they say, oh, we can't find him anything. Well, that's the reason. Grading clients. We used to grade clients, i.e. sellers, A, Bs and Cs. People who are right price, right area. People with the right price, not found anything. And Cs were people who were flying a kite. We'd still take them on to sell the Bs and As and Bs, but we would use them. And lastly, requalifying applicants. An applicant a buyer, a buyer or a tenant. You requalify them after at least 3 weeks, maybe a month, because they'll have seen lots of properties and their requirements will almost certainly have changed. They'll have found more money, they'll be prepared to look something bigger, smaller, different, and if you don't ask, you'll just look at the computer and say, nothing for them. So requalifying clients. Now, this is really old-fashioned, and I apologize, but this is what this was the applicant card that I wrote out and constructed that we used to build the business. And this, I think this is a piece of gold. So it has got 4 killer questions that your agents can ask and really get the parameters from here to here within 4 killer questions. First question, how long have you been looking? I've been looking a week. Okay, they're great, but they're not going to buy yet, almost certainly not going to buy yet because they haven't explored the market. So you look after them. I've been looking 5 weeks. Boom, that's your buyer. Stick close to them. I've been looking for 2 years. That's not a buyer, and you're probably going to waste a lot of time with them. So you're looking after yourself here. You have to be professional about it. Of course you do. But one question gets you to understand: what's the best you've seen? Oh, I saw the perfect house in blah blah blah. So next question: why didn't you buy it? The second bedroom was too small. Great, you've got it from here to here. And the fourth killer question is, what won't you compromise on? What's the one thing? I must have a roof terrace, garden, swimming pool, blah, blah, blah. Something that they will not compromise on. So already you have really limited it. You can be throwing mud against a wall and some sticks. This way you really get to understand very quickly, within 4 questions, what this buyer is like. I think absolutely vital. Right, sorry, I'm getting behind. So again, did it work? That was the growth of the business. We bought it in 2005. Growth. It was immensely successful. And I thought at this time, I thought I was an estate agency god. The only problem is I wasn't making a profit because I had splurged money building the business. So the recession was very, very, very tough, obviously, in the UK between 2007 and 2009. I learned an incredible amount, an amazing amount. Getting through a recession, I've done it twice now, is a very painful business. I don't know if you've heard the expression, and I hesitate to mention it here because you are in an amazing market. But the expression is, even turkeys can fly in a hurricane. So you have got to be prepared for that wind to stop and really understand what your business is about and have a general overview of what you can change. I'm a very brave person in business, so I got caught a number of times in overspending, and this was one of them. I was turning over a load of money, but absolutely making none. So lesson learned. No hiding place. At Foxtons, I had a sales meeting on a Friday night at 7 p.m. The only way you could miss it was to call me, and I'd say no. It was really unsociable, but this whole sales team got together, and they shouted out their figures, what they'd achieved for that week. So numbers of offers, numbers of exchanges, and money. And obviously, they went up and down the board. To begin with, I was writing on a board, or my secretary was. But towards the end, it got much more like this. But the purpose is no hiding place. You know very, very quickly. It wasn't a beat-up session at all. It was very positive, very upbeat. But the person who shouts out nothing, 0-0, I don't say, what are you been up to? Come on. I say, hard luck, better luck next week. And they never want to come to that meeting ever again without somebody to shout out. There's all sorts of things in running sales teams that you don't have to be nasty. You just have to put it in their way that they're not doing as well as they could do for themselves and for their colleagues. Because obviously we all mark ourselves against colleagues. This was yours truly in a Marsh & Parsons end-of-month meeting. It was monthly, so not weekly, and it was at 6 o'clock. And this group of people shouted out their numbers. There was lots of yahooing and lots of fun and lots of excitement, and I spent about £3,000 or £4,000 in the bar afterwards. So it was a fun place, but not without its focus, which its focus was you turn up to this meeting and you need something to shout out. So I believe it is one of the most essential things that we did for building the culture. And I hope I haven't given you the impression that the culture is hyper-aggressive. It probably was in the early days at Foxtons, and it is very much mellowed. When you're building a business, potentially it has to be. It is aggressive because you're building and you're trying to build, but it mellows over time, and it had mellowed by this time. How, when, and if to divest? Well, building a business is a mixture of hard work, as you've seen, and it doesn't happen quickly, and luck. And as the saying goes, the harder you work, the luckier you get. But I sold in 2011, just after 2 years after the recession, and I was very lucky. I built a great business. My partners wanted to sell, but at the time, we were absolutely riding high. The most important thing I'd done was to build income from lettings. When I bought the business, lettings was 10%. When I sold it, it was 51% of turnover. Lettings is in the UK and Australia, actually, is a vital part of the business because it is yearly transactional revenue. And it just happens and happens and happens and happens. In the UK, it's hard to lose a letting instruction, so you've got it forever. And again, in the UK, your business is pretty much valued on the lettings book. Yeah. Now, Foxtons sold in August 2007. For any of you who are old enough to know, Northern Rock went down in late August 2007, and that's when, in the UK, that massive GFC started. So John was unbelievably lucky, but my God, he worked hard. But to divest, I think you have to have something to sell. You have to have a brand, and it has to be more than just a group of salespeople selling property, because property sales, it's not income that you can rely on. So, my view, lettings is absolutely key, and also other income streams, mortgages. Again, I don't know what the other income streams are, but you have to have recurring income streams for a buyer to be really interested in you. The golden rules. These are my golden rules. The consumer is sovereign. The consumer is everything. The brand is everything. The minute you start not defending your brand and putting up with things with your people, your structure, the look and feel, your adverts. I used to proofread every single advert that went out. Spelling mistakes freak me out. And so I was, as I said, I was very, very, very focused on it. This is my second to last slide. I guess some of you here are thinking, this isn't going to work in Dubai. It's ridiculous. It's a totally different market. I think the market is pretty much the same the world over. Obviously, it has different aspects, but the basics never change. They really don't. When I went to America in 2000 to the Inman conference in San Francisco with John, and it was just as the internet was launching, and we thought it was going to eat us alive, completely disintermediate us, what on earth we were going to do. And as we saw, as you've seen, it's become the most important tool in our armory and has transformed our businesses and made us much more impressive, built the brand, put us at a shop window for the world. It was and is incredible. Now, what's coming down the line? AI is coming down the line. It's going to have some things that harm us. I personally believe, because I'm a positive thinker, always have been, always will be, it will do amazing things for our business. It'll transform the way we contact clients. I'm dealing with a business in the UK called Fixer AI at the moment, which looks at your whole inbox and will write replies, read your whole inbox, write replies as if it was you. So you can get back to people that you naturally wouldn't get back to or just ignore, which I think is a disaster for branding. I think people will look at your brand and think, didn't even come back to me. Now you can put them on you can put them off, but you can absolutely use data and new technology. It'll transform your business. Right. So when I bought Marsh & Parsons, I sat with a business advisor in a room and with loads of bits of paper on a table, and she said, choose one of these that means something to you. And this is the one I chose. It's a quote by Maya Angelou, and I think it is a truism in life. People will forget what you say, they may forget what you do, but they will never forget how you make them feel. And since then, I have lived my business and my personal life by that. I think it is absolutely integral to how our business works. If you make people feel good, both internally and externally, they will naturally want to deal with you. Many agents and many people don't make people feel good, but that's brilliant because they're your competitors. And I think in this market, as my boss said to me on my first day in 1982, he said, Peter, you can be great at this because 90% of the competition are completely useless. That's me. Thank you very much.